2008 came along, and at this point I actually was starting to commentate a little bit. I just wanted to, help out the foreigner scene some, because I had so much respect for all the foreigner pro gamers that we all played for basically no money, almost no tournaments, and I just wanted to give back to that. So I started commentating, making videos, so that people would have something to watch that was the foreigners playing instead of just Koreans all the time.
Here we go, another Foreigners Against Pro Gamers show match, and we have brought back Artosis. He did really well a couple days ago against Hydra, and we wanted to see him play. And his opponent is going to be a beater. So yeah, there you go. That's his ICO ID. Go stalk him, go beg him for games. Don't tell him I sent you.
Well, that did well, and my practice was going very well. And then, I played in the TSL tournament, Team Liquid Star League, where I lost very early to a DT Rush. So they put me on as a commentator. And they originally were just going to be commentate a couple times, but after the first day, people liked my commentary so much because they said that I was really passionate and knew a lot about the game, which of course it was true. I knew a lot about the game. I was playing in the tournament beforehand. I was a top player at the time. So I ended up commentating the whole tournament, and people really liked it, and started even comparing me to Tasteless at that point as far as commentary went.
Up magic takes the center, and look at this position on these things. Pay attention to the players. A lot of the times you'll see him siege them really up close to try to abuse high ground a lot. But really, this is the location you want to be. It's very hard. Protoss cannot bust something like this very easily.
I was contacted by IEG, International Esports Group from South Korea in 2008, a couple months before WCG. And they wanted to know if I was willing to help out on a website for StarCraft. It was based on Korean StarCraft 1. And the reason that they were doing this and pushing this forward was because they knew that eventually StarCraft 2 was going to come out, and they saw that, StarCraft 1's pretty popular overall with English speakers, and StarCraft 2 should be much more popular. And well, they were certainly right about that. But I started out I did a couple commentaries for them, put them up on the site, and they got more hits than they had ever gotten on the site. So then they became really interested. And this was over the course of about 2 days. Then they started talking to me about possibly doing a lot of commentary for them for the Pro League and things like this. And, I talked to them for maybe a day or two. And then suddenly, bam, I have a plane ticket to Korea and a 2-month trial period where, I'm not going to get paid or anything, but I'm going to live with the Eastro Pro team, and I'm going to be able to be in Korea and at least make some StarCraft content, if nothing else. The day that I landed, I remember it so vividly. I got off the plane, I was nothing but smiles. There were some IEG guys, and there was Puerto Rican, Rick Sanchez, that was his ID, who became my roommate, and I worked with him a lot on the site. And Hydra, Greg Fields, was there as well to greet me. And so I hopped in the van with them. We drove actually right to here, right behind me, the Eastro house. I met the Korean pro gamers, the coaches, all that. The Eastro house was here where I lived for over a year. And of course the CJ house was up here, the Hwasung house. It's a really affluent area with big houses. So a lot of teams decided to live here way back in the day. And immediately the next day, I'm like, all right. I went down to the office, and as soon as I was all set with that and talking with the bosses and everything and meeting all these people, I'm like, all right, where is Tasteless? I know my buddy's somewhere. I have no idea how big the city is or like where he lives.
He came down here and he was gung-ho. He was so happy to be in Korea. And I remember kind of relating to that because he was just as happy as I was when I first came to Korea. I remember that euphoria where I'm like, oh my God, I'm here, I've done it. And it made me really happy to see somebody else that happy to be out here. It was basically him, me, and Hydra were the only real StarCraft 1 players. And there were a few other people kind of working out here, sort of in that scene, but it was great. We hung out all the time. He'd come over to my place, we'd play StarCraft, talk about the game, joke around. He's so funny, and we just hit it off.
Just having, an English-speaking close friend I've known for a long time out here to kind of show me the ropes, because he had already been out here for, I want to say, 5 months. So he already knew the landscape very, very well compared to me, which was nothing. So that was a relief and a lot of fun and very, very helpful.
Right over here. How's Thailand? Good to see you. How are you doing? Is this like some kind of family? Yeah. It's actually what we do every single time we see each other. Yeah. We give hugs.
Nick was hanging out a lot with some old StarCraft guys, some old pro gamers that were now big into poker. People like Elke and Gur, also known as Guillaume.
Dan, I think I met him the first time he came to Korea. He was trying to be a pro gamer, and we took him to a club for the first time. And nobody expected him to get drunk after 6 shots of vodka, but he did, and it was a lot of fun.
And they were really cool. I got to hang out with them a very good amount as well. Very nice guys. Showed us around a lot. Showed us a good time out partying and stuff. I didn't hang out with them quite as much as Nick, though. I actually hung out a little bit more. I made some more Korean friends and was hanging out with like Hwani and some pro gamers and coaches and stuff like that a little bit more. But the poker guys definitely were guys that made me feel more at home, more comfortable here as well.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Dan's work sort of opening up the Korean scene?
Yeah, well, he came over here as kind of like, I think his original purpose was to just develop content for the website that owned the team I was on, SE for All.
They bought like a really high-end PC and microphone and stuff like that for me to start recording for their site, to make some commentaries and stuff like that. And I'm not a computer person, okay? I just use the computer to play StarCraft. That's what I do.
He broke his computer at the office, and he asked one of the guy to fix the computer.
So they send this Korean guy in to actually set up my computer for me.
So I went into the Dan's office, which was a separate section, and fixed his computer.
He sets it all up, and then I believe I said like thank you in Korean. I was like kamsamnida or something, but in a terrible accent because I had just gotten here. And he's like, oh, you're welcome. I'm like, oh, you speak English? That was Hwani. That was our first meeting right there.
My CEO, Mr. Hong, he put me in charge for that website. So I was controlling 2 foreigners. There were another foreigner that was down here called Rick. And then I was in charge for Dan and Rick, and we were making content. Basically, Rick was chief editor for the website, and Dan was making all the content.
We had a camcorder that Puerto Rican bought to carry around and do things with. And so what Puerto Rican would basically bring the camera and film stuff, or I would bring in film stuff, and I would be like the guy asking the questions, like interviews and stuff like that.
He was very eager to see a lot of pro gamers and a lot of stuff. I mean, he was a player before, so he wanted to see a lot of stuff in Korea, gaming industries, all the team houses, how the practice was done.
Sometimes people would translate interviews that were done by Korean reporters and whatnot, but those had a very certain feel. Those were questions, culturally Korean questions asked by these Korean people to other Koreans. They're answered in very specific ways and whatnot. That wasn't the type of stuff I wanted to know. I didn't want to hear someone say, oh, I'll try harder for my fans next time. And any hardcore StarCraft fans are going to know exactly what I mean by that. So I started bringing the camera around. Hwani became instrumental in this after a little bit, where he would help translate and get a lot of connections and whatnot. Hey everyone, I'm Artosis, and oh boy, do I have something special planned for you here today. Don't you try to get away. It is the return of Hwani. That's right. If you guys are new to StarCraft and you don't remember him, that is him. That's Hwani. He's been a manager of many pro gaming teams in the past.
Many?
Yeah, man. You were the manager of the StarCraft pro gaming team Eastro, the Counter-Strike pro gaming team on Eastro, and the Special Force pro gaming team on Eastro.
Yeah, that's one team.
Yeah, but that's 3 different teams.
So I asked the other team managers if I could take foreigner and film some of the stuff and to commercialize their teams out to the foreigners. They were happy to do it.
And we would go around, get a lot of interviews, film behind the scenes stuff, and basically show the world what the Korean scene really is, what it really looks like behind the scenes, the way the pro gamers live, the way they practice, what they actually think. In that way, we really became this bridge where we created a lot of content that you could absolutely not see in English before, but now here we had it in English.
Dan's career with a pro gamer, as a gamer, actually helped out a lot of things, such as he would see the game, he knew actually what these players were doing, and he would ask all the questions. And it was very helpful for Dan to analyze the game and ask the pro gamers questions. Good question, what kind of build order they use, what style they have, and what's the race, and he knew basically all the pro gamers' IDs and everything. So it was very helpful. Even I didn't know all of them, but Dan knew everything. So I think all I did for Dan was just to translate there.
Now, when I came out here, Tasteless was already doing some GOM TV stuff, which was immensely popular. You know, the GOM TV League was the first one to go into English. The other leagues went into English only after I got there. It was a much lower production value for us because I was basically taking Korean VODs and dubbing over them. And Tasteless, though, was doing the GOM TV stuff, really helping to grow StarCraft through that. People were loving it. And he was a superstar. He was basically the most famous English speaker in StarCraft 1 at that time. So, you know, he was also already a good friend of mine. I had played plenty of StarCraft 1 against him. I had met him several times at WCG, USA Finals and stuff like that. But in Korea, we started hanging out a lot, and I thought, you know what, this could be, you know, a great thing to have some content on. So I started interviewing Tasteless quite a bit and, you know, getting his take on things and stuff because, you know, all he had was that one show once a week. But I mean, here's this guy that's lived this crazy life for a long time and people want to hear a lot out of. So I started, you know, interviewing Tasteless actually quite a bit. He became a big part of the content I was making.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Tasteless. I'm down here in Seoul, Korea, as many of you may know. Filming me right now is Artosis. There he is right now. And over here to my left is Greg Fields, known as Hydra. We are here in the Gangnam area, one of the busiest areas of Seoul, quite possibly one of the most famous areas of Seoul. Also very special because this place here, this strip which heads down that way, is where we bring all these StarCraft players that have come down here, whether they're working here in the field as, you know, a caster, a journalist, or they're working as a professional gamer. This is where we bring them on their first night. So this has a lot of history for those of us out here working in the Korean esports scene. Actually, we were just walking on the street, and as you can see up here, StarCraft 2 ad playing on this giant monitor up here. You really can't go anywhere right now in Seoul without bumping into ads like that. And yeah, sorry, we just saw that we were walking down. I thought that'd be a cool thing to show you guys. God, oh my God, look at that. Yeah, that is a bus. That is a bus with a StarCraft 2 advertisement on it. This is actually real.
You know, the StarCraft community, the English-speaking StarCraft community, really loves all the interviews and different little videos I made with Tasteless. You know, he's a charismatic guy. He's worked in the industry in a professional sense much longer than other people. You know, I would say, in fact, he has worked specifically in StarCraft professionally longer than anyone. And I mean, it's really nice to get his viewpoint out there. And people have always really loved that. They've been really positive. You know, I go around and ask him all sorts of questions all the time and, you know, get his take on things. And people have always really liked that.
When Dan came to Korea, it was with no guarantees, with no promise, with no money. He was in the Eastro house, and you talk about someone with just pure passion for the game. It didn't matter that there was nothing here for him specifically at the time. He still needed to be in Korea. It's like a broke guitarist going to Nashville because that's the center of music. He needed to be in the center of StarCraft with or without a job. And if he failed, then he's gonna go back home with his tail between his legs. But until that happens, he's gonna give it a shot. And I think it was that faith as well as that hunger to want to succeed no matter what that brought him out here and was able to keep him going, even though he did struggle for several years before he finally was able to hit it big along with Nick. But make no mistake, he came out here with nothing, with the hopes that there might be something, but still struggling to get there.
You know, in StarCraft 1, I was not making a lot of money. I was making very little, almost none, to the point where, you know, I would eat, my diet at times consisted of eggs and tofu, and that was literally it. I would buy a bottle of soy sauce or hot sauce or something to put on the tofu and eggs. But that was it. I was completely unhealthy. I would keep a single dollar in my pocket and jump all the subway stalls. And if I got caught, I'd give them the dollar. I'd be like, I'm sorry. It was an unbelievably poor time. After rent and all my expenses like that, I mean, I would have basically no money at the end of the month. At the end of every month, I would be counting coins to try to buy enough food to live. I lost an immense amount of weight. I was extremely, you know, malnourished. It was a pretty hard life, but, you know, I didn't really mind it all that much. You know, it was kind of character building. I know what it's like to be hungry and be making almost no money and have a hard time making it. And I was fine with that, though, because I knew that eventually StarCraft 2 would come out and I would at least make enough that, you know, I could sustain myself.
Hell, it's about time.
Since 2004, 2005, you know, we always knew it was coming. We always knew it was in production. When was it going to come? Had no idea. You know, back before it came out, I was still a very poor person. You know, it was, but I knew that eventually this game would come out, and this would be where I didn't have to jump subway stalls anymore. You know, finally I'd make enough money that I could, you know, eat more than tofu and eggs and not jump subway stalls. I had no idea how big it would actually become, but, you know, that's what I was looking forward to.
Dan actually told me there wasn't anything he could do anymore with StarCraft 1, and working for SC4All, because we heard that StarCraft 2 was coming out, and Dan has this dream to become a best player.
My StarCraft 1 dreams of a pro gaming, truly career-oriented pro gaming type of thing, those were shattered when I moved to Korea. You know, I wasn't given the computer, I wasn't able to practice, I fell out of practice, that was basically it. And yeah, I had been commentating pretty successfully, you know, people liked it. I was, you know, getting more and more gigs, commentating more and more, getting better at it as well. But, you know, when StarCraft 2 came out, my plan was to play it professionally because, you know, that's my passion, that's what I love, that's what I wanted to do.
My personal judge, Danny's actually better with the commentary, and I've been telling him all the time, you should quit playing. You should quit playing. You're getting old. I know you want to try to overtake Boxer, but still, it's not going to happen. And I told Dan you shouldn't play games. You should more focus on the commentary stuff or making content, doing interviews. You're actually more talented in those kind of stuff than a player. But since this my friend, the vegetarian, is such a stubborn guy, he wouldn't listen. He's like, no, I'm going to play a game. I want to become a best StarCraft 2 player. So basically, when StarCraft 2 beta came out, he quit his company. He just focused on playing and playing and playing. He would just sit down and play. I was a little worried about him because he would just keep playing without a food, without a sleep. I mean, just keep playing, always talk about games with the Hydra and how StarCraft 2 would look like and stuff like that. He was just too much focus. He got ill from it too, you know. I was worried about him, so he got sick several times. So I had to go to his house and cook him some meals with Greg, and we would always sit down and talk about StarCraft 2 beta and how it looks like, how it will look like.
The night that the StarCraft 2 beta came out, it came out at some ludicrous time in Korea, like 5 a.m. or something. And I actually was at my girlfriend's house, and I woke up and I sat up in bed, and I had some friends at Blizzard who were to call me the second the beta came live, because I knew it was coming soon. You know, the murmurings had been there. And I sat up in bed and I was like, oh, I'm awake. What's going on? It's like the middle of the night. And then I got a text message, and the beta was live, and I had a key in the text message from my friend. I'm like, all right, I gotta go. And I run out the door, I throw on my shoes and run out the door, and I went right home and started playing, because that's what I wanted to do. And in that first day of the beta, I played for 18 hours straight, played 72 games, and was ranked #1 worldwide. So I mean, I was ready, and I was going, man. I had waited for this for longer than anyone.
Special thanks to Mark Gilliam, who is a game developer, and special thanks to Mark Gilliam.
Mark Gilliam!
Mark Gilliam! Hey!
Mats Danielson, a Swede friend who's helped us out with this movie. It's pretty cold up there, trying to become a pro gamer. I hope it's working out for you. It's a long road.
Yeah, best of luck, brother. Special thank you to Mark Santoro, whose ID is Solus. We hope you found solace in this film. Special thanks to Timothy Hancock.
I'm glad that you're helping out with the movie.
We heard you like Warcraft 2.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Warcraft 2, when I first played Warcraft 2, I played it in my friend's basement that was in a broken home and smelled like dog poop. And to this day, every time I smell dog poop, I immediately think of Warcraft 2.